We use our power to fell a god, and then seize our destiny! All that I am is fading. The memory of a god's existence, born from the chaos of creation. It is vanishing.
Greetings my comrades and welcome back to Xenoblade. In today's video, we are going to be taking my follow-up video to my Xenoblade Chronicles Definitive Edition review. As you guys know, I did a Xenoblade Definitive Edition in-depth review / discussion video about 2 weeks ago, and I said I was going to be making a follow-up video once I completed the new story content, Future Connected. Now, unlike my other video, this video is going to be totally unscripted, and I'm going to keep in all the uhs and the ums and stuff, because this is just my raw discussion to you guys. So, I'm making this as if I'm directly talking to you guys on screen, so I'm not really going to cut out things unless either I mess up something entirely or background noise comes in. This is going to be a totally raw, unscripted video. I'm just going to be talking about all the things I liked about Future Connected, the things I didn't like. I would think this video will be about the same length as the other one, but I'm not going to be making as much editing in this one. It's just going to be gameplay the entire time. If you guys have any different opinions, feel free to leave them down in the comment section down below. We can get into a really cool discussion down there. Again, my name is Xenoblade, and please enjoy the video. So, Future Connected. Where do I start with Future Connected? Well, it was certainly very fun. The Bionis Shoulder is probably one of my favorite locations in the entire game, besides maybe Machna Forest. Machna Forest was just, I don't know, I really enjoyed that area. But the Bionis Shoulder definitely reminded me more of a world from Xenoblade Chronicles 2 than it did from Bionis and Mechonis. Maybe that's just because it was a floating landmass. But the Bionis Shoulder had a lot of unique environments. Grandel was really cool. The Companion's Cape was really cool. Alchemoth being there was awesome. I liked always looking at Alchemoth, especially when the rift appeared. That was really, really cool. I thought that was awesome. But yeah, overall, the Bionis Shoulder was a very solid location. Wasn't anything grand, but was definitely a very fun environment. And I'm liking how Monosoft took this area that really was kind of just there for testing, and they turned it into something that could work really well with a campaign like Future Connected. But now I want to get into the story. Specifically, the 4 main characters of Future Connected, that being Melia, Shulk, Kino, and Nene. Melia is taking the role as the main protagonist in Future Connected. The story is about her. And I like how this story is finally Melia getting the confidence to lead her people to a new future connected with them. That's the whole reason the story, in my opinion, is called Future Connected. It's about Melia connecting with her people to lead them to the future of the High Entia. And she doesn't want to be a ruler. She doesn't believe she has the ability to. She believes she has failed everyone because she turned all of her brethren into Telethia, even though that's not the case. She blames herself for that. So this journey is about Melia learning that people will follow her, that she has the strength and the will and just the willpower to overcome anything with her people, to overcome the tyranny of the Fog King, to lead her people to that future that Saurian and Callian really wanted them to achieve. The dreams of her father and brother are with her, and it's her journey through the Bionis Shoulder that is really the one that stands out, especially her relationship with Tyrea, who at the end of the game decides, you know what, I'm gonna be your shadow. You can still be the one who's out there doing all the stuff, but I will be your right-hand man, or woman in this case, but I will be right beside you till the very end. And I like that, not really sisterly bond, but I like how Tyrea, who in the beginning hated Melia, slowly not only accepted her, I think she kind of accepted her at the end of the main game, but grew to be fond of her at the end of Future Connected. They definitely seem like they have a good relationship now. And again, Melia's story was just really nice. It was not a expansion to it. It was more or less a conclusion, because nothing really grew in regards to Melia's character. The story was more or less just taking the character we knew from the original game and concluding her arc in a more satisfying way. Melia already had a pretty solid conclusion, but a lot of people were a little unsatisfied with how it ended, and I'm really glad that they chose Melia out of any character to actually take up the role of the main character and get their arc included here in Future Connected. I really liked that aspect. Now I'm going to go on to Nene and Kino. Kino kind of has an arc. He wants to be a hero pawn like his father, for his father took him in when he was all alone. Kino is adopted, and so Ricky takes him in, treats him like his own, and he wants to be exactly like his father, or the person who took him in, the person who was so kind. And we know Ricky has these good moments. We know he's not just for goofs and laughs and stuff. He's a very serious character who wants to be, and we know he is a good father. And Kino was inspired by Ricky and just the good person he is to become a hero pawn, to become the hero, the next Napon hero, and help in any way he can. He has morals, beliefs, that if you really don't look deep into, he's just another Napon, but Kino definitely has a solid potential to get more character in a future Xenoblade game if we go back to Shulk's world. Nene, on the other hand, didn't really see much from Nene. She was not very annoying, that's one thing, but there really wasn't much there. She was kind of just overprotective of Kino. That was pretty much it. Really don't know what else to say about Nene. Shulk, on the other hand, though, we have a decent amount to talk about Shulk. Shulk wasn't the main character. His story got concluded at the defeat of Zanza. He was more or less a supporting party member here. And obviously you had to have Shulk here. He's the main character. It really wouldn't be Xenoblade Chronicles 1 without Shulk, even if it's just a supporting role. Shulk doesn't get much here. He's just the one who kind of creates the ether reaction so they can attack the Fog King. And I'll get into the Fog King in a minute when I talk about the villains. But Shulk, there really wasn't much here. However, I will say though that his Monado Rex looks an awful lot like Pyra's Aegis Sword from the original Xenoblade 2. The first Aegis Sword looks a lot like the Rex Plus overall, and then the Rex Plus looks a lot like the Aegis Sword. So, probably a reference similar to how Malos has the Monado in Xenoblade 2. However, it really just was a really cool Easter egg. I really enjoyed that, but overall, Shulk didn't really do much to affect the story besides creating the ether reaction to help attacking the Fog King. And now I want to get into the Fog King and the villains, specifically the two main villains. First, we have Galgar, who is obviously a racist towards pureblood High Entia, and I can see exactly why, because in the original game, it was pretty proven correctly that the pureblood High Entia abused the Half-Bloods. They looked down on them. There was discrimination between the two factions, and that can always affect someone because they are the same race, but because the Half-Bloods, although not being purebloods, were the ones who were going to lead the High Entia into the future, because they wouldn't be transformed into Telethia. They don't have that gene that transforms them into a Telethia. And so Galgar creates this philosophy that Melia is the progenitor of the High Entia. He wants to essentially reboot the entire race. It wants to make Melia a goddess when she doesn't even want to be a princess. And so his ideals and his ambitions are to eradicate all of the pureblood High Entia that are still around. And by doing that, they can start over. The Half-Bloods can become the only High Entia, and he wants to make Melia a goddess to reign supreme for time immemorial. And it's a very interesting concept and a very interesting point of view from the High Entia, because we know there were discrimination between the purebloods and the Half-Bloods. Purebloods did not really like the Half-Bloods. Half-Bloods would gain the test for the purebloods because the purebloods would look down on the Half-Bloods. So it was a really cool concept. However, the only thing I really don't like is how Gelgar kind of ends his thing with a side quest. I mean, if you don't do the side quest, that's fine. You get a pretty decent ending to Gelgar's character. He wasn't the main villain of the story. He was kind of just there to show the High Entia at this current moment in time, the people who were really affected by the skirmishes between the purebloods and the Half-Bloods, like I said before. However, I wish they concluded his character in a better way. Kind of just was like, oh yeah, he's just not relevant anymore. So I definitely wish Gelgar got a better conclusion than the one he did. And if you really wanted to have that side quest, you should have at least made that side quest part of the story, because how his character arc ends with him jumping off. Now, do I think he's dead? Maybe. I can't really tell. Maybe he'll come back in a future game. But Gelgar, right now, from what we just have from Future Connected, was kind of a still character. A very interesting character into the point of view of, like, what the High Entia have, but more or less was kind of just a pretty boring villain, but he definitely did his job. Now I want to talk about the Fog King and the Fog Beast. Now, I've never played Xenosaga before, but a lot of people have been comparing the Fog King to the Gnosis, a species of, like, undead creatures from Xenosaga. So maybe the Fog King is a Gnosis, but in this video I'm not going to be touching upon any Xenosaga, Xenogears stuff. This is going to just be Xenoblade. It's quite obvious that the Fog King is an Inferno Goldo, or at least he's using the model of the Inferno Goldo. Now, what does this mean? What is the Inferno Goldo? Well, if we take into regards what happened in Xenoblade 2 and all the different things and hints to it, the Inferno Goldo was Galea, or rather Maineth. And so, what exactly can we take from that? Well, is this Klaus? Because Zanza's theme plays before you fight the Fog King. Is this a Goldoed version of Klaus from another dimension that was created by the Conduit? Or is it Zanza coming back in a form that's not really quite like himself? No, I just kind of believe that this is just another Inferno Goldo. I believe there are probably multiple of them. There were many different kinds of Goldos in the land of Mortha. And, yeah, so, honestly, I think that it's just another Inferno Goldo who somehow ended up in a rift. Maybe when Klaus did his whole thing at the end of Xenoblade 2 by sending Rex and all of them to another portion of Earth or Shulk's universe or whatever, it started creating rifts. Shulk's universe could have caused a disturbance. Exactly like he said, he thinks the Fog King and the Fog Beasts are a result of the world being brand new and the world being in a state of confusion, and the rifts are what exactly this new world is and the cause of the creation of the new world. So who knows, really. The Fog King, a very interesting villain. Again, not a good villain, but a very interesting villain. And especially with what Takahashi-san says in the Definitive Works book about how this is leading to the future. So maybe the Fog Beast and the Fog King, or whatever these fog things are, they're gonna reappear in a future installment in Xenoblade. Maybe a game that even takes place in the same universe as Xenoblade 1. But overall, yeah, the Fog King was pretty okay. Now I want to touch a little bit on the gameplay. The gameplay was pretty much the same as Xenoblade 1. I already talked a lot about that, so I'm not really going to go into detail. There weren't any visions, honestly. This didn't really affect me, since I just came off of playing Xenoblade 2 again. And there obviously aren't any visions in that game, so it didn't really affect me. Overall, the combat was pretty cool. The Pawn Specters, while I prefer chain attacks, were a cool and nice addition. I liked collecting them. I liked having my army of Napawns. That was really cool. But overall, yeah, the combat, very similar to the original, very slight differences, but overall works quite well. So yeah, guys, this is going to be the end of my Future Connected spoiler discussion. However, I did say, though, that I would give you guys an update on the new changes. The new changes still has a pretty good rating, since Future Connected I also give a pretty good rating. It was a solid expansion and sequel to the story of Xenoblade Chronicles. However, it wasn't anything spectacular, it wasn't anything grand, just a nice conclusion to Melia's character, and I cannot wait to see where they go with this franchise in the future. So if you guys enjoyed today's video, please consider leaving a like, subscribing, and turning on all notifications so you're informed when I upload my next video. On this channel, I cover the Pokemon anime along with video game content, and my next video game video is going to be about Fire Emblem Three Houses, so get excited for that, guys. Again, my name is Xenolith, and I'll catch you guys next time.